I think we've got a very sound process. Again, it's not foolproof because we're dealing with human beings. Myself, everybody sitting up here, everybody out in the audience. I mean, we have a very rigid process in which we go through testing, background investigations where we look for any types of bias or prejudice that are out there. We also have a full psychological evaluation that is done in those cases. Again, we do the best we can up front. It's one thing I say is if somebody exhibits those types of bias, we act on it. We recognize it, we act on it, we discipline appropriately, and then we monitor that person.
Make sure our department, our officers discuss this as part of a roll call training opportunity. And the purpose of it is the finger point isn't to blame anybody, but I wanted them to go through an exercise of thinking of how did this impact different people, not just the individual officer, not just the Bloomington Police Department, but the community, the family of the victim involved, and the greater society, and talk about how that impact was. I think that helps open that dialogue just internally in the department to understand what type of incidents that are out there that can impact us in this particular one close to home. So
I'll just say it, we don't retaliate against individuals for coming in, for voicing concerns, for complaining about something they didn't feel was appropriate. I mean, that's the dialogue that we need and we need to have as professional police leaders. I can tell people from time to time I hear concerns that they don't feel comfortable coming to the police department. What I can say there is, again, we have a lot of means in which that information can get shared with us. We've got emails, we've got the complaints on our website. But one of the big things I would ask is that if you don't feel comfortable for some reason, reach out to somebody, another group, another organization, a friend, somebody who will advocate with you.
Very well as everybody else does. Another thing I'd like you to think, you don't think that the officers, as part of their Bill of Rights, they have the right to know who made a complaint against them. But if we receive an anonymous complaint and it's something egregious, and we see some solvability factors, and we look at it, we can be complainants ourselves. We can do that. So don't think that, but we encourage people because sooner or later, we have to find the sources of information in order to fully investigate it. But if something comes in, and say somebody is fearful, and there are some solvability factors, it will probably come back around, and we will probably talk to you, but we can ourselves be the complainants.
So, what is the diversity makeup of each department? Male, female, white, black, Latino. What is the diversity makeup of each department?
I can tell you we are not as diverse as we'd like to be, but we're better now than we've ever been. We continue to work towards that. And tell you, out of our 83 officers that we have on the department, we have 70 who are Caucasian male, we have 9 who are Caucasian female, we have 2 that are African American male, we have 1 Hispanic female, and 1 Asian male.
We are the same. We're looking to become more diverse. I said that when I came here. We have an allotment of 128 officers, however, we're at 124. We have 118 white officers, 4 Hispanic, 3 females. Another part of that question was, and 2 African Americans, I'm sorry. And I would challenge people, we have flyers here.
I've also got the jail division besides the patrol division. The patrol division, I have a staff of 54. I've got 43 white officers, 1 female officer, and I have no African American officers.
For us, our staff, total staff, we have 38% of our staff is female, 16% of our staff is African American. In terms of patrol officers, 20 are male, 6 are female, 3 are African American. We currently don't have any other minorities or unrepresented populations for the department. We have hired many over the years. Unfortunately, as you can see, it is difficult to, once you have minority officers in your departments, to retain them. Part of the Minority and Police Partnership, and for those of you in the audience who've participated with that organization, we did create several years ago what's called a stop card. So it's a card that explains your rights as a citizen and what you can expect in your interaction with a police officer. There's both an English and a Spanish version on the back table there by Jerry, with voter registration. So
certainly would encourage those of you who have questions about traffic stops and what your rights are to make sure you pick up a copy.
Good evening. My name is Miles Spann, and I am a senior political science major at Illinois State University. I've met a few of you already in the past. My question is, well, a statement/question. The underlying problem with the multiple cases on a national scale is not the individual members of the police force, but the subconscious bias against the minorities. The SNAP decisions are more likely to be severe towards the minority member of the community. How is diversity training continuously supported besides the initial once a year? How often and how can officers be held accountable for not abusing their power? And how are you empowering members of the community to feel safe that they can?
Yes, you can video on the phone conversations with the police. However, it has to be done in a safe manner. If I would say having a conversation with you closer and you had friends nearby or somebody was nearby, they have to respect the space that I feel safe. So if I just ask somebody to back up, you can record away, but it has to be at a distance that the officer feels safe. Because
I mean, I would just simply say, we have complaints process that we have in place.
Is your money involved in that process?
Let's let him answer.
No, and you talk as anybody involved. We have a complaint process in place in which people can file complaints, they can express concerns. And I've heard whether citizens are involved in the process. I can tell you, in the town of Normal, we have a citizen review that is the town council. They oversee the city manager, who I report to. Everybody up
Wants to know. Is there a quote on tickets? No.
I can tell you, as somebody who's had a lawsuit filed against them in the last couple of months for that, I can tell you, we have performance standards. We have expectations that our officers go out and they perform when they're working. I don't think that's any different than any other professional organization within.
come up, that's something that can be asked even during a polygraph. So we go with the information that we get, but I'll just be honest with you. Sometimes bad people slip through. It happens in the military. We got gangbangers in the military, going to the military to get trained and come back out. The military, be it us, be it any organization, there's just sometimes bad people get through.
Will Sergeant Shoemaker ever publicly apologize?
That's a question for Sergeant Shoemaker, and I will ask him about that, but I cannot make him do that. But since you brought him up, I will just say publicly, like I said on the radio, his comments were terrible. None of our officers condone that. That is against our policies. That is not what we're about. However, I just happen to know him since he was young. I will tell you that that was out of character for him, but that is no excuse for the comments he made. He has owned them, our department has owned them, and I think there are none of us in here, at least not me, who can say that they never made a comment that was out of character for them that they wish they could get back. And obviously, he wishes that, and our department surely wishes that. Things in their file to see. This was a one-time incident for this person. That was taken in consideration. I've been on record and said, yes, I would have administered time off. I told him that. He said he would have accepted anything that they gave him. I can't speak for what was done prior to myself arriving, but I will tell you this. We found it. We brought it out, and we did address it. People may not like the discipline, obviously, and I can understand that, but you have to give us some credit in being transparent. As far as that, yes, it's a written reprimand, not a warning.
Ask people of color, given the history of this country, how can you ask people of color to trust that the police will police themselves, and that when we file complaints around racial injustice, that departments that are 90% white men are going to take those complaints seriously.
Thank you for your question.
Resume. Let's see what I did to get here.
All right.
All I want to know is from you, my only thing is that we're going to recruit. We're sending information to Chicago. We're on the websites. And I want you to take it personal and let people know under 35, minorities who are looking for a job, starting out at $56,000, 3 weeks vacation, good benefits. I want to see you get some people to take the test, because you know what? This isn't for everybody. This isn't for everybody. So we need everybody's help. But don't think somebody put me here. I'm a lot.
I do understand that, yes, there will be some quote-unquote bad seeds that will get through the process. However, the danger lies when you have people that have narcissistic personalities, antisocial personalities, rage issues that are on the police force. My question is, are these psychological tests administered by a trained, licensed psychologist or psychiatrist who can can determine whether or not a police officer is fit to be on the force?
Phone call for 911 and he was to show up in my, there's no way to work. I would want his assistance to communicate. You know,
Well,
and I'm
depending on
not
what's going on.
Be that nice. So
Depending on what's going on.